Welcome, welcome, welcome. I'm your host, Alex Geesis, and this is Speedify Live Office Hours. I'm joined today by Kevin.
Hello.
He is a lead developer on the Speedify app. Uh, so we can answer your questions, hopefully, or Kevin can. What is Office Hours? This is your show. You guys ask questions, we answer them. This is your chance to interact directly with people who make Speedify. This is not the only place that we answer your questions. We have started a series called You Asked videos on YouTube where we answer your questions. These are questions that you guys ask in the comments here that sometimes people leave questions after the live stream is over. Sometimes people watch some of our other videos, leave comments. So we pull some of the most interesting questions that we think have broad appeal, and we make videos where we answer them. So don't hesitate to comment, right? I mean, so if you're here live, you ask and we see them live, we answer them live. But go ahead and comment on any of our videos. We see the comments, we come back, make other videos. Before we jump into it, give us a follow, smash the like and subscribe buttons. Thank you. All right. Airbnb. Here's a question. They're back in the news for various reasons. What's your internet experience been like at Airbnbs and similar places? Like, does the Wi-Fi work in general? Is it good? Is it a problem that when you're traveling you can't find good internet, or do they all provide them? I'd like to hear about your experiences with that. All right. So let's see. We got, seems to be repeating a lot here, but Finney Thomas asked, I'm an Indian working in live streaming and have been using Speedify for the past 3.5 years. Awesome. When I started using it, there was an Indian server. Later it disappeared, and now I'm using a nearby server. Since there's no server in India now, Speedify is not giving the required performance. You tell me the tip I need. Singapore is probably the best location. Yeah.
Depends where you are in India, I guess. But
It may depend where you are in India, so you might want to try a couple places. The most common answer we've gotten is Singapore. It's worth noting there are no VPN companies, as far as I know, that have any servers in India. There are a number that have labeled their servers in Singapore as being in India to make people stop asking questions about why they have no India servers. But due to strange laws passed there about how VPN providers have to keep complete traffic logs for 5 years. It's beyond the privacy issue. I don't know if we could comply. So there are no VPN servers in India for anyone. I would try a couple locations. Singapore is probably your best bet. I think a lot of things that claim to be in India are Singapore. So I hope that helps. All right. Morshu asks, what kind of connections can I combine on Mac OS? USB tethering is not working on Mac OS, so I can only use LAN plus Wi-Fi? I'll let you take this one.
So a few different things to cover. So one, USB tethering right now. The one tricky thing with Mac is that there's a setting you need to go and change if you're trying to do tethering, where if Mac detects that you have a work, so you need to go into the Mac settings.
You go to network under system settings, and then you find your tethered iPhone. There's my tethered iPhone, and then you click details, and this switch, disable unless needed, must be off. That must be off. Otherwise, the Mac is turning it on and off based on whether or not it thinks you need it, but it is not. So turn that off. Let us run it. We won't use it all the time. So if you're using an iPhone with a Mac, that is a critical step. But you might be talking about something else. So
but other than that, other connections that you can use. So using additional Wi-Fi adapters on Mac doesn't work very well in recent versions. It used
Doesn't
to
work at
work.
all.
Yeah, it used to work in previous versions that you could get USB Wi-Fi adapters, and they've shut that down in recent versions of Mac that they don't work. So unfortunately, you can't use other Wi-Fi adapters, but you can use additional USB Ethernet adapters. In a lot of cases, might be some that don't work, but I think now you can get ones that you can plug in and they'll work. So you can get multiple Ethernet connections on Mac. You can tether, and then we also have our new pair and share feature that if you have other cellular devices, other phones, you can pair them over the local Wi-Fi, and they'll all share their cellular. You don't even have to plug them into your Mac. You can just do it over the local network, either over the local LAN, Wi-Fi. It'll peer with them, and they can all share their cellular connections with your Mac. So you have a few different options of getting multiple connections on the Mac there. But yeah,
My understanding is that very recent Android phones, like it, can be tethered.
yeah.
So I have a Pixel 7, too old. I think it might be Pixel 8. But I think all the Pixels in all the new Pixels in the last year can be tethered to the Mac.
I have to look. So there's different types. There's USB tethering, and there's also Ethernet tethering on Android. And I haven't looked at whether the Ethernet tethering works with Mac
So
recently.
I think that's I think what I'm getting at.
Yeah.
I think the new Android phones support this Ethernet tethering. That works on a Mac. So yeah, I think that's the name of the feature I'm talking about, where tethering started working.
And yeah, it's been mixed in the past. Sometimes the Android phones would work, sometimes they wouldn't. So yeah, try it out and see.
There's one more option here. Well, one is the built-in Ethernet. That's the top one. The second one is the built-in Wi-Fi. Both those are actually connected to the same Comcast cable modems. They're not giving me that much. Then I have the tethered iPhone. I just showed you network settings. So that's great. And then the next two are two devices that we use pair and share. So there are two other phones that are running Speedify, Android phone here, my Pixel 7, that are sharing their cellular over the Wi-Fi. So if you go here where it says paired devices, it lists more devices on the network. One of the great things about working here at Speedify headquarters is that everybody's running Speedify. So I can just go around, click, and see how many people will let me use their internet. So they all just got requests that are popping up saying, the Mac in the studio would like to be able to use your cellular. All right. Whoever's on the Pixel 6 said yes. So this is getting confusing. Display name, you can go set what name other people see for your computer. But yeah, so once that happens, I have even more internet connections. So all kinds of crazy things. And I'll just be spreading my packets across to all these phones, and this should be awesome. So lots of options for you.
Yeah, we'll point out, the idea of priorities here is that, we have our primary connections of the Ethernet and the Wi-Fi, and so we're preferring to use those. We're not going to go and waste everybody's cellular unless we really need it, unless there's a problem, with the Ethernet or the Wi-Fi. So anything that it says set as secondary, all these cellular connections are secondary. We won't use them unless they're unless the Wi-Fi and Ethernet are slowing down or starting to fail. Some sort of Comcast blip, and we would switch over into using those when needed.
Like said, I found a short video where it talked about connecting various dongles to a mobile device, but I could not find full instructions. Is there a link to the full YouTube video? I would like to connect 3 dongles. iPhone or Android? I wonder if that's...
And that should, give us some information about what platform you're talking to, what type of dongles you want to connect to, and what device you're trying to connect them to. It's not clear.
Hey, it's You Were Found. Hi, fam. So that is Brian, who, if you guys are following our TikTok, he's the newest member of the team. He has been churning out videos here. He's a live streamer. He is, when we first met him, he was first time I ever met him. You're from Speedify, and he had a Raspberry Pi in his bag running Speedify at the time. God, great guy. So anyway, so he's here making videos with me and by himself. It's awesome. So welcome aboard, Brian. And we're gonna have a new video, which unfortunately doesn't feature Brian. Right after this, it is about Speedify connection priorities. We've got all these settings in the app where connections can be always secondary and backup. What do they mean? How do they help you control how Speedify controls your internet connections? It's all explained, so stick around. If you're on YouTube, you'll see it right after this ends. If you're not, go to our YouTube, or Speedify on YouTube, and you can find that fantastic new video. All right. Good morning, gentlemen. When I load up the software, will it find all my connections, or do I need to add them individually?
Yeah, we will automatically find anything that's connected to your device, any internet connection. So you need to make sure that, you have a laptop or whatever, that you have the different Ethernet connections plugged into your laptop or connected to your laptop or to your phone, whatever you're running Speedify on. Make sure those different internet connections are available, and then Speedify will pick them up automatically and use them. We'll have some default settings and priorities of how we handle the different connections that you can adjust. But anything that we see that's cellular, we think that's potentially expensive, we'll set the secondary. So yeah, Speedify does a pretty good job of doing things automatically, but you need to make sure they're physically available on the device for Speedify to use.
Or less. I want to combine multiple connections, create a Speedify hotspot, and share this connection to my DJI Action 4 for live streaming. What would be the best setup for that?
Yeah, so you have a few different options. The best that I'd say would be to use a little Linux device. Things like Raspberry Pi, or there's other little Linux boards. They're very portable. Linux is very stable, and you can hook a bunch of different connections in. We have instructions on our knowledge base of how to set up the sharing. You can either share out to the Ethernet or share out to the Wi-Fi as a hotspot, and other devices can then connect to that and share through that. You can also do this on Windows. Windows in general is kind of less stable for doing as a streaming platform, because it might decide to do updates in the middle of something or whatever. But we have other software called Connectify Hotspot you can run on Windows that will share the Speedify connection as a hotspot that other devices can connect to. Same thing on the Mac. There's the built-in internet sharing on Mac OS. You can use that to share the Speedify connection as either a hotspot or over Ethernet. So that's also another option. You can do that on Mac. The phones, unfortunately, if you do, create a hotspot that does not share the Speedify connection on iOS, it just automatically shares your cellular connection. It'll bypass any sort of VPN. You should set up the hotspot. And Android, it'll share the physical connections, either your Wi-Fi or your cellular, but it doesn't share the VPN unless you go get some third-party app that's going to do that. You probably need rooted access to run a hotspot like that. Yeah, I'd recommend one of the desktop platforms or little Linux devices, things like that. Hotspot, but yeah, that is possible.
Not everyone in the office is accepting. This is absurd. It's awesome. All right, Mike is on Android. So I guess he has USB-C. You can go USB-C to USB hub, right?
I think so, yeah.
And then I think you can plug in as many Ethernets as you want, or Ethernet-like devices, and they should show up. I don't know if they fixed this. It was I consider it a bug, but they considered it on purpose. A lot of Android phones purposely turned off their Wi-Fi every time they saw that you had hooked up Ethernet devices that way. But you can have a hub. You can hook up 8 Ethernet devices.
Yeah, Android can be a little finicky with Ethernet devices and interacting with other connections.
We found the line of code right in the open source Android. Like, if Ethernet, then turn off Wi-Fi. Hard coded. There wasn't a setting for whether or not to do it. It was fine. All right, your found still has that Raspberry Pi running. Good. Yes, Android sharing like the Raspberry Pi. See, that's a problem. The Android's built-in hotspot just magically goes around us, and there's nothing we can do about it. Well, except that we use pair and share with it, right?
Yeah.
But that's kind of what it's saying.
There are third-party tethering apps you can get in the Play Store. Unless you have a rooted device, you won't be able to make a Wi-Fi hotspot, but you can do USB tethering with them. So you have to set up usually some software on your laptop, and you have the app on your Android phone, and you can USB tether to your laptop, and that can share the Speedify connection. That shared data will go through Speedify because it's not using the OS tethering stuff. That's the only thing I know of on Android that will share the Speedify connection. It's not quite as convenient as just using built-in stuff.
All right. Just for anyone who doesn't know, should you explain what Speedify is?
Yeah. So yeah, I mean, you've been hinting at it, a bunch of different features and talking about stuff. But yeah, Speedify is an app that allows you to make use of multiple internet connections. So it runs on a whole bunch of different platforms: Android, iOS, Mac, Linux, Windows. Run on little Linux boards, as I said, Raspberry Pis and Odroids and whatever else there are available today. Anything that runs Debian Linux can run Speedify. Debian-based Linux, so Ubuntu, Raspberry Pi OS, so all that stuff is Debian-based. And so Speedify makes use of multiple internet connections. It can combine them for more speed, what we call channel bonding, but also giving you more reliability, so that if one of the connections is failing, it can seamlessly switch your traffic over to the other connections without things getting interrupted, without sockets breaking. And the way it works is it's a VPN, so it's connecting to one of our Speedify servers, and it's encrypting all your traffic, so everything's secure. But then also giving you that common point of presence on the internet, so that all different connections can come and go and fail, and we can keep it online and get the best reliability that we can out of your internet connections.
Horseshoe says, how many combined connections was the biggest you heard of with Speedify? Heard of? You're looking at the man. How many connections?
I heard of a customer doing 15 at one point. This was years
You
and
did
years
20
ago.
once, but that was
Did I do 20?
just, didn't you?
I know I did 10.
Didn't you go on the roof and do 20 connections?
It was 10 connections. But,
Only 10.
I
What the
think
heck?
I think so.
That's a long time ago.
But yeah, with parent share now, we had a whole bunch with parent share. I forget how many we got up to with that. So yeah, in the 10 to 20 range. There's a limit at 31 connections in the software. You can't go more than that, though. I'd argue that usually going above 3 or 4, it's not
Diminishing
that,
returns.
Yeah, it's not that useful, especially trying to get things. You want to have connections from different ISPs if possible. So you have 3 main cellular ISPs, and you have Wi-Fi connection to one ISP. You get 4 there.
Right. So it's easy to get up. You say, well, I want one to Verizon, I want one to AT&T, I want one to T-Mobile. Plug into my Comcast, plug into my Starlink, right? So that gets you to 5. After that, it starts getting pretty contrived, right? You're just going like, if you're gonna have 4 cell phones and they're all connecting to T-Mobile, what are the odds that the 4th one adds more than having 3, right? I mean, it's probably just using up the same bandwidth. So unlikely to help. But it's diminishing returns, right? Because 2 is more than twice as good as 1, right? Because either connection can go out for a couple seconds and you have 0 downtime. So 2 is more than twice as good as 1, but then 3 is usually 30% better than that. 4 is another 10%. And at some point your desk is just a mesh of wires.
Yeah, I know we have real customers using 10 to 12 connections regularly. For our big customers, there's people that do it. They have specific use cases where it's useful for them.
All right. Yes. Somebody else is pointing out that we have a Discord. What do you guys think of Discord? We have a channel. We've got a small loyal group of people who pop in and ask questions. We answer them. Good way to talk directly to us. Not that popular right now, but I guess we haven't been pushing it. What do you guys think? Would you like to interact with us on Discord? All right, Morshu asks, is the VPN limited on the upload download speed at one point? I live in Bangkok. I don't know the nearest server.
So we're not intentionally putting any sort of speed limits, but there's a lot of factors that can affect it. And yeah, big one is location. So in your case, I think we don't have any servers in your country, and I think there's international restrictions with how fast they'll let traffic go internationally. So reaching our servers, I think you're going to hit limits there. There might be limits on how much you can do. But yeah, so things like distance from you to the Speedify server, and latency and the congestion on the network between you and the Speedify servers, that makes a big difference in performance. Whether you're on, if you're just a free user, sometimes our servers get lots of free users on them. You could be competing with other users. That's why paid users, we have premium servers that you can are less congested, and we keep those available for the paid users. And you can even get private servers that are dedicated just to you. If you're doing something really important, you don't want to compete with any other Speedify users on the same server, you can get a server that's just for you or just for your team to use. That has potentially a lot more performance, at least on the server side. But yeah, you're still limited by what your internet connections can do and how fast they can reach the server. A lot of that has to do with location between you and the server, what your ISPs are doing, what your country is doing. Can all have limitations.
5G access problem. 5G SIM network. We need more info than that to help you, man.
Yeah, was that based on anything before? I forget what he.
Android sharing.
Yeah, I don't know enough.
Yeah, I'm not understanding.
So is that are you saying it's a problem with Speedify, or you just can't get your device to get a 5G network? It's not clear.
Yeah. So Speedify finds every working internet connection that the operating system on your device knows about, uses them all, unless you've clicked never, right? Priorities. Yeah. So if it doesn't show up as a connection on your device before you add Speedify, obviously. Your fan loves Discord. It helps build a strong home-based community. Yeah, did you see Discord just announced today they're going to let people make apps like games and stuff that show up in the Discord chat so you can play games in Discord?
I didn't see that.
I think that's going to be pretty cool, actually. It got me wondering. I don't know what to do with that, but it seems cool. People are going to do cool things.
I'm sure somebody's going to come up with some horrific idea too.
Yeah. Does parent share take Wi-Fi from other phones, or is it just cellular data?
It can in some specific cases. So usually we talk about it sharing cellular because that's where you have kind of independent internet connections. And a lot of times the sharing is happening over a common Wi-Fi connection. But there are some cases where if the devices has access to a Wi-Fi network that the other devices don't, it can share that as well between the other devices. So for example, if you're on a tethered hotspot, if you have a phone that's making a tethered hotspot, it's sharing its cellular, but it's also on a Wi-Fi connection. It can share that Wi-Fi connection with the devices that are on the hotspot as well, so they get both the Wi-Fi and cellular from the phone. So there's some edge cases like that where you can share Wi-Fi, but a lot of times the usefulness is sharing the cellular because that's where you have the independent connections from different devices.
All right, Morshu asks, how big is the Speedify team? Boy, I should know that. I'd guess we're 25 people. Plus or minus one. Yes. The Discord. Yes, there's already a few games, but they're opening it up to old devs now. Ooh. We could be a Discord gaming company. Games destroy my computer. They take up so much. Yeah, so I think this is all about mini games, right? These are little, Whirl and Doom and things like that, not vast VR games. You know, games that can fit in a chat window.
Yeah. Although, yeah, I mean, the browser can do a lot of stuff now. It's not going to be like huge graphically intensive stuff, but you can do a lot of the interesting stuff in the browser now.
All right. Yeah, so we've got. I know some of you don't want to use parent share, and you don't have to. You can turn it off. I think we'll make it. Oh, look at that! Oh, look at that! I don't know when that is that gonna work. All right, there's some crazy. There's so much software installed on this Mac. I no longer. I've lost track. Right. You know, we're running Ecamm hooked into Restream, Stream Deck hooked up, and you know, just so much stuff happening now. I can't keep track. All right. Probably most common question from Robert. Is there a way you use Speedify to make use of both data sims and the iPhone at the same time?
No. So yeah, in a lot of cases, your phone's just picking one of them to be the active data connection at a time, even if you have two SIMs, and it just periodically, depending, there's different modes of how phones can handle both SIMs, but even in the case where they're both active, it's really just putting most of its time on the one SIM and then periodically just going over and checking the other one.
There's only one radio.
Yeah.
There's two SIMs, one radio. And the radio is changing which SIM it talks to. Not very good for bonding. So that's the secret. All right. Hey guys, just want to say thank you. We've been using Speedify Church live stream and it works great paired with the YOLO Box Pro for internet bonding using Raspberry Pi 4. Kudos to Speedify team. Thank you. Good to hear those success stories. All right. Yeah, Curie, we'll do something to help you hide that away better on the dashboard. We hear you. All right, Morshu says thumbs animation comes with the latest iOS Mac updates. You can also make the shape of a heart with your hand with a little heart animation. Do this. Is this gonna work?
Oh, there you go.
Great, great. Thanks, Morshu. All right. You're welcome. That's so cute. Yeah, that's what we aim for. Kevin and I get on every day. And say, how can we be really cute for our audience? Horrible.
Surprised, yeah. Can you do an apple shape? Did they make you do an apple? Okay.
Oh, the double thumbs up gets fired. I've changed my mind. This is awesome.
You don't even need your button.
I don't need my button anymore, Lacey. Oh yeah, I got my button. I changed it. My button's not working. This is the worst day ever. I got a button that's supposed to make a little animated character show up. And that is absolutely tragic. Doesn't work. All right. What else is new? Speedify 14.6 is out. Everybody should update, right?
Yep.
What was new in this release?
So yeah, big thing user facing is that we introduced single sign-on so that you can log into Speedify now with, you can still use your same username and password, but you can also have the option of logging in with a Google account or an Apple account. So you use your account, gets a token, and you're able to authenticate with Speedify based on those accounts instead of having to have a separate Speedify username and password if you don't want to. So that was one of the big features, and then also just lots of bug fixes and improvements in the background that makes Speedify more stable, more reliable, work better.
Still rocking Speedify on the boat cracking.
He's saying it's a good solution. They're using it on a boat. That's great.
Awesome. All right. Talk about share. Oh. Can I use Speedify Pro on multiple devices with one license? Yes, 5 devices. Actually 6. But the idea is 5 devices, and if one of them breaks and you need to get a new device, you can temporarily use a 6th. But our official answer is 5. At myspeedify.com now, there's a table where you can see what the 5 devices are. And if you've done the new single sign-on, if you've signed on in 14.6 or later, you can actually decide if you don't have a device anymore to remove it, and Speedify will immediately stop working on that device. If you want to use again, you have to log in, kick off some other device. So that's getting a little slick, a little more exposed. You can tell when it says you have too many devices. You can go to myspeedify.com and see what those too many devices are.
So that 5 devices is for an individual account, and we also have options for a family account where you can get up to 5 people, right?
Yeah,
5 people.
5 people each with 5 devices. No idea how many total devices that is, but it's a lot.
And then there are also Teams accounts. So if you want to have a team with multiple people, you can keep adding seats. Each of those seats gets to use 5 devices. If you have a whole team of people, 20 people or whatever, or 50 people, that you can have a Speedify team, and all those people can get access to the license. Manage that all at myspeedify.com.
On which platform is the license the cheapest? They're generally the same. I think there might be. I think you're more likely to find coupons poking around Speedify.com than you are other places. Say that. Yeah. So go to Speedify.com. Look around.
Yeah,
we often have coupons.
Yeah. Do we have a current offer going on now? I forget. But yeah, I think there might be like a 2-year offer or something.
It's us. We're on the website. All right, I'm closing this. I can't look at the website right now. Wow. So yeah, I'd look around. Try masking off the top. You know how this works. So again, we're doing you asked videos. So taking questions from here, questions from the comments on the other videos, especially the comments on the other videos, chance to answer them. Or people post comments after we're not live. We take those, we turn them into videos where spend a few minutes, do a demo answering the question. So do ask questions. We've got this new one about connection priorities coming out on YouTube right after this. So if you're on YouTube, just stick around. If you're on Twitch or whatever, because we're multi-streaming here, you can jump over to youtube.com, search for Speedify. We'll have a video explaining connection priorities. How do I update Speedify in my RPI? Oh, it's awesome. It's awesome. The answer is so good. Kevin?
You seem like you wanted to say something here, but
we just plug into the Raspberry Pi's, APT system. If you update the Raspberry Pi, with the usual command sudo apt update, sudo apt upgrade, it upgrades the Raspberry Pi OS and it upgrades Speedify. If you use any of those graphical user interfaces for updating software on your Raspberry Pi, Speedify just shows up in them once Speedify has been installed. It doesn't show up as an app to install until once you've installed Speedify, then it knows about us, and we are completely plugged into the Raspberry Pi, Debian apt system, and all the tools for upgrading software on the Raspberry Pi know about us, upgrade us. We're just another package.
Yeah, so you can just say Speedify. If you just want to upgrade Speedify, you can just do sudo apt upgrade Speedify. And we'll take care of that. Yeah, we have all those commands on our website. If you go look, there's install commands and update commands. Yeah, it's just plugged into normal Linux.
You're welcome. All right.
Stop doing the thumbs up now.
You're welcome.
Only once per stream.
Come on, what is this? I'm trying.
What if I do it? Yeah, must have some sort of rate limit on it.
All right.
Can't get too excited.
I am too. The too excited filter has kicked in. All right. So yeah, check out YouTube. Our connection priorities video. It's about to drop. Maybe it already did. I think it did. Maybe it's supposed to link to it. So check that out. And we'll see you guys next time. All right. Thank you for joining us, Kevin. Thank you to everybody who asked questions. See you all online.